Is Paul Finebaum out here disrespecting Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffs? Because the other day he said some pretty cryptic things about Coach Prime and what this program potentially might look like. And I really want to hear y'all's thoughts about it because it kind of intrigues me because I don't necessarily line up with what he said. But before we jump into it, please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Colorado fans, Coach Prime fans, whatever you are, jump in the comments below. Let me know what y'all's thoughts are. And if you haven't already, hit the like and the subscribe button because we are bringing you Colorado content and news, especially now that dead period's ending and the recruiting season is here. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. But today we need to talk about Paul Finebaum kind of dissing on Coach Prime a little bit. And I don't feel like Coach Prime's the kind of guy you want to diss on. So Finebaum on a podcast with Greg McElroy and Cubelic in the morning show on February 20th kind of talked about Coach Prime and Colorado. And listen, I think he kind of got into it with LeVar Arrington, who was a former Colorado linebacker. And so, yeah, he said, we're just going to read his view right here, word for word, and we'll kind of talk about it. I think the first couple of games will be a novelty, Finebaum said. I couldn't imagine how he could turn this thing around completely. I don't think he has a very high ceiling. Everyone will be cheering for him. Losses will be masked as wins. We will be watching Deion very closely, but if they get to a 2-6 start, we won't be watching them. That's just the nature of college football. LeVar Arrington heard the critique and wanted the world to readjust Finebaum and other popular narratives around Sanders moved to Colorado from his pro opinion. This is from theshadowleague.com, kind of just reporting on Paul Finebaum. So here's my deal. I don't agree with Paul Finebaum. I think Coach Prime is not a novelty. I don't think that, one, they're going to go 2-6 either. I think they have a really good shot here to probably win 3, maybe even 4 games, their first 6 games. It's not like it's a super hard schedule. You have to play at Arizona State, who has a brand new head coach in Kenny Dillingham. And honestly, that roster was just as depleted as Colorado's. You have to play a Stanford team that is just bad. So those should be, I think, 2 pretty easier wins for Colorado. You got to play Colorado State. That's probably a win. That's there's 3 right there when you look at it. And then outside of that, you have TCU, Nebraska, Oregon, and USC. Maybe you get 1 out of those 3, and if you do, that still puts you at 4 wins. So, yeah, I don't know what Paul Finebaum is necessarily thinking. I mean, we all know that he's an SEC homer. That's the conference that he lives in. And the Pac-12 is not necessarily on everybody's high list right now, especially with everything that's coming out about this media rights deal and potentially Colorado and some other teams wanting out of this conference. But that's a conversation for another day. Paul Finebaum, I get it. Coach Prime's not at Florida State, and he's not an SEC program, but Coach Prime is a very good coach. You saw what he did at an HBCU in Jackson State and how he was able to recruit there and develop talent and be able to mass talent there. And he's doing the same thing at Colorado because just in one offseason, the man has tailored one of the best transfer portal hauls that I think we've seen. And then he got one of the most crucial pieces to a team and a quarterback from Jackson State and his son, Shedeur Sanders, that is going to be able to run Sean Lewis's offense at least at half capacity, which is probably better than what they did last year. And I think they're going to be able to put out a fun product on the field. That's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it a fun product. Not that I don't think that this product will be super competitive because, again, I think there are very winnable games on Colorado's schedule. But I do think, Colorado's going to be a fun team to watch. And, let's be honest, if they're 3-0 going to Oregon, is that a game day game? If they beat Oregon and they're having to play USC at Folsom Field, is that a game? Or if they're with 1 loss, is that a game day game, right? That's kind of where we're at right now with Colorado. Like, Colorado has an opportunity to get themselves on national television. Coach Prime is part of the reason for that. And Coach Prime has developed and put together a staff at Colorado that is going to be able to help turn Colorado around. And I'm not saying they're going to go out there and win 11 games and go to the playoffs, but I expect Colorado to probably win 6 or 7 games this year. That's where I think they will be. Realistically, I think their ceiling's 8. I think their floor is 4. I think they're going to be in that 6 to 7 range. Looking at their schedule, that's what makes sense. And so for Paul Finebaum or Finebaum Paul, whatever you want to call him, to go out there and, kind of diss on Coach Prime and his product and what he is doing at Colorado, don't necessarily agree with it. So, guys, go ahead and jump in the comments below. Let me know what y'all's thoughts are on Paul Finebaum's takes on the University of Colorado and Coach Prime. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that like and the subscribe